So good evening and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Tina Desa, the proud superintendent of the Pleasantville Union Free School District. I'm here with a couple of other staff members. I'll let John Chow introduce himself. He is also managing the doorbell.
Okay, I'm John Chow. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business. Nice to meet all of you.
And Rachel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Rachel Goldrich. I am the CPSC coordinator for Pleasantville. So I see some familiar names out there. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see everyone.
And we're going to continue to let our additional people in as we go ahead and get started. I am going to deliver this presentation in English, but I will say if you need language support in another language, please reach out to me and I will ensure that you get access. Si necesitas ayuda en un otro idioma como español o otro, por favor llámame o envíame un correo electrónico y puedo ayudarte, porque es muy importante que tú entiendas esta información. So just an overview of for tonight, the purpose of tonight's session is to provide you with an overview of what has been done for the 24-25 school year as it relates to pre-kindergarten, explain our current status and what our next steps are. There is a lot of information. It can get a little confusing, so I'm just going to ask if I could go through all of the information first. And if you could hold all your questions to the end, I can go back to the slide and make sure that we answer as many questions as possible. Sound like a plan for everybody? All right, so let's do this. Screen sharing, and we will go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to do is be able to click my slide to the next one. All right, there we go. So I wanted to show you a little bit about how this works. This is our 23-24 UPK funding. Again, this is for this current school year. We get $216,000 from the state. We get $194,400 from the federal, which gives us a total allocation of $410,400 for the Pleasantville Union Free School District to support pre-K. We do not know our funding yet. So this is our first unknown. We do not know our funding yet for the 24-25 school year. So once we have that, we will know what our total allocation is. We will know this on January 23rd when the governor delivers the state budget with the line for our UPK allocation. So what we do is we take our allocation, we divide it by $5,400. That's how much we get per student. And that gives us a total amount of seats that we have for pre-K. So we don't know how many seats we have yet because we don't have the funding allocation yet. The $5,400 is for 5 hours a day. We run the program 9 to 2 p.m. for 180 days. 180 days is by law how many days the kids have to be in school from K to 12. So that is the number of days also for UPK. If our interests exceed our allocation of seats, then we use a lottery system to choose from all of those interested. So this is all the funding that we receive and what it covers. There are additional costs to the district that you should know as taxpayers. There is administrative oversight. There is also the cost of curriculum, and there is also the cost of classroom furniture and materials that we support through the district budget. There are 2 parameters for entrance into pre-K. The first is residency. So you have to go through the registration process and prove residency. So you actually have to live within the district in order to be able to go to UPK. The second is the age. Now, this is the trickiest one for people. You have to be 4 years old on or before December 1st of the school year in which you are enrolling. So for this discussion for 24-25, your child has to turn 4 years old on or before December 1st, 2024. They are only eligible for 1 year of pre-K. So unlike what you can do with kindergarten, because don't forget in New York State, kindergarten is not mandatory. Compulsory age for education is 6 to 16 in New York State. So kindergarten, excuse me, is not mandatory. So sometimes people feel like when their kids might not be ready yet, they can hold them back. This is not the case with UPK. It's very strict in terms of the age requirement. Our program is run by the YMCA of Central Northern Westchester. We do contract with them. They are operating our current UPK as well as other school districts, pre-K programs. The teacher-student ratios by regulation are that for any class between 1 and 16 students, they have to have 1 teacher and 1 paraprofessional. Classes with 7 to 21 students have 1 teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. Teachers are New York State certified for pre-K, or there's a New York State certified pre-K teacher on site as the director. Again, those last 2 bullets for ratios and certification are prescribed in regulation. The program that we deliver via the YMCA has alignment to New York State, which has pre-K standards. We deliver the instruction in a developmentally appropriate way for the children, involves hands-on learning and play. The focus of the time in pre-K is on language, literacy, and math, and really developing the social and emotional skills. Parents and guardians in our program provide food and transportation for the children. So these are our contingency plans for 24-25. Our A plan, our option A, is that our program is in Holy Rosary and Hawthorne. Excuse me. Holy Rosary and Hawthorne is a school that was attached to the church, attached to the church or connected with the church, not physically attached, that is no longer operational as a school. It has as many classes as we could fill based on our enrollment and allotment. Our option B is where we are currently operating. We just started our first pre-K program in Pleasantville. We have 1 class at the Holy Name of Jesus Church in Valhalla. And we have option B for the 24-25 school year with 2 classrooms capped at 16 students in each classroom, with the possibility of having a 3rd classroom for another 16. And this might make a little bit more sense when I get to the next slide. So again, option A is Holy Rosary and Hawthorne, filling as many seats as we can as per our allocation and as per our need or application from families. Option B is Holy Name of Jesus in Valhalla, which we definitely have 2 classrooms and possibly have a 3rd. If we go with option A, which is what we're looking to do, we have to have a couple of things in place before we can run that program. The first is that the Archdiocese and the YMCA have to negotiate and sign a lease. The second is that Holy Rosary has to be inspected by OCFS. OCFS is the Office of Children and Family Services. They are the New York State agency that goes in and ensures that the space is appropriate for children, people have the right certification, etc. Sorry, guys. Once that happens, we will start, well, not once that happens, but in addition to that, we will plan on beginning registration for pre-K on February 1st. We would end registration on February 29th. We would conduct a lottery if necessary by March 4th. There would be a final OCFS inspection if we are at Holy Rosary. And then the first day of school for the 24-25 school year would be September 3rd, 2024. So as you can see, there are things that are in our control and there are things that are not in our control. There are things that are pending right now just based on timing. So right now, what we have are 4 unknowns. We have an allocation that is unknown. We need to wait to determine what our funding is, and then we can see what's the maximum amount of seats that we have. You would have to have the lottery, which would determine your position for being offered a seat. The location for 24-25, as I explained, would be Holy Rosary or Holy Name. And then we would be able to, once we know our place, once we have the lottery, once we have the allocation, determine final seats or who would be in the pre-K program. So I feel like I just did some speed dating. I do apologize. You guys are not getting the best of Tina Desa tonight. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to try to get out as much information as I could. And I want to open it up in, I wanted to open it up to questions.
Can you talk about the aftercare options that might be available?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And great question. So the YMCA offers, let me go up for a second. Okay. So this is what our funding covers. So what the YMCA does is they offer both before and after care. They offer before and after care options for daycare. So you don't have to, you can drop your kid off beforehand and you can drop them off afterwards. And I'm happy to send that information from the YMCA so you can look at prices and timing. I'll send you guys that link. But they definitely offer before and after care.
Hi, I had a quick question about
Hi.
the classes.
Yeah.
So I know that this year there was only one class of 16 and there was a small wait list. Would something like that happen for the next year if there wasn't as much interest, or would it be like 2 classes of 8, or would something else be figured out? And
Oh,
the second part
question.
is, do we have to worry about there possibly not being as much funding because we didn't use all the funding that was given to us in the 23-24 year?
The funding is not contingent upon what you use and what you do not use. The funding is contingent upon the governor's budget and the allocation to pre-K. Nothing to do with what you use. We had funding for 3 years and we're unable to find a provider that would be able to. If you guys are paying for daycare, you know that you're paying a lot more than $5,400 for 180 days for 5 hours a day. So in order for this to be cost effective for the YMCA, the classes have to run at 16. Most of their spaces, when OCFS comes out, they certify the space for however many heads can be in there. So most of their spaces are certified for 16 and they have to fill them at 16 in order for it to be feasible. You think about it just from a pure financial perspective, you're getting 16 times 5,400 and you need to cover a teacher's salary, a paraprofessional, and everything else to run the program. The only things that we provide additional support in is, again, the administrative oversight, the curriculum, and the furniture and the materials. Does that answer?
It does. Thank you.
Sure. Any other
Hi.
questions? Hi.
Yes. Hi. Can you just clarify? I know some other school districts, such as Mount Pleasant, for next year are providing a longer school day with the same anticipated funding from the state. So is there a reason Pleasantville is only offering 5 days when other districts are offering 6, I believe?
I don't know why other districts are offering 6 hours a day. This is straight out of the regulations for what is provided from the state education department for this funding.
Who's in charge of the curriculum? Is it Pleasantville or is it the YMCA?
We collaborate in our venture for what we're delivering and what we're using for the curricular program.
Hi, thank you so much for having this event. We're really appreciative. I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit about what the day in the life would be like, what kind of activities the kids are doing, what outdoor time looks like. That would be really helpful for us.
Sure. I'm going to go back to this slide where it talks a little bit about what they're doing. So the students basically engage in a day that looks a lot like like a mini school. They get together, they sing songs, they'll do things focused on, again, language literacy and math and developing social and emotional skills. So they'll play together, they'll work together on things, they'll count the blocks when they're building. A lot of infused, not like direct instruction of, this is a one, they do that, this is a one, color the one, what color is it, etc. But it's much more developmentally appropriate for the students that are this age group. The classrooms are set up much like mini little classrooms. There's rug time, there's play areas, there's kitchens, there's dolls, there's a lot of things for imaginary play. There's a lot of materials, a lot of tactiles for students to use. So the day flows much like, there is rest time during the day. They have outdoor space where students can go outdoors. The students do have their snacks and their lunch. They're supervised when they go to the bathroom. We do have what we did for this current session, which was really nice, was we brought the parents over. They were able to see the classroom. They met with the YMCA staff. And then they also, once they started, they're having like an open house. And then they had like a meet the teacher. And then they're also having like a curriculum night, a back to school night, where they're getting much more into the details about this. So the same flow would happen, but it would happen in August and September.
I have two questions. Is the 16 minimum cast in stone? In other words, if you get 47 students, does that mean you'll have 2 classes and a waiting list of 15?
What we had, I can tell you what we had for this year was that we had to make the 16 cap. So we actually ran a lottery this year. Our lottery went up to 20 students. And we actually we had the 20th student that was accepted into the class for 16 for this current school year. So, or for the January start, I should say. It just started last week. So that has been the conversation that we've had with the YMCA, is that yes, it needs to be the maximum, like the classes need to be filled up to 16.
Dr. Desai, there's a question. Someone posted a question. Does Pleasantville hire the teachers or the YMCA?
The YMCA hires the teachers. The YMCA supervises the teachers. The YMCA basically runs the program. We have oversight over the program.
Hi, can I just ask a question? Thanks for this. It's been super helpful. Can I just go back to the timelines quickly?
Yes.
And so for the 4th of March, assuming there's a lottery, at that point, do you anticipate knowing whether you're doing plan A or plan B? So, presumably there's more than 16 applicants. If we're 1 to 16, 1 to 32, 1 to 48, are we going to know at that point when we got a place? We're going to have to then wait and see which plan is implemented.
Well, definitely numbers 1 through 32, we'll know that they're definitely in. So it will just be a question if it's at Holy Rosary or Holy Name. For the rest, I would have to see where we are at that point with making a decision for where we want to go with our lottery and with our numbers.
Hi, going back real quick to the teachers that the YMCA will staff. Do you know about certifications there? Can you offer any more information about that?
So they typically go with the teachers are New York State certified for pre-K. And then there's qualifications for the paraprofessionals. The paraprofessionals have to have a high school certification. Everybody needs to clear fingerprints and background checks in order to be able to work with them.
Dr. Desai, there's a
Yes.
question posted.
Yes.
Can families visit the program to get a better idea if this is a good fit for our family before registering?
Well, right now we have one class operating at Holy Name. So I would be able to talk to them and see if there's an opportunity for families to come on site and see if that is an option. It might not be an option when school is in session, but it could certainly be like an after school or evening where you guys can go and see the program, you can see the building, and you can meet with staff. I'm assuming you're thinking something like that for like February or March. Am I right? For whomever asked the question.
I also was going to ask that question because I
Okay.
would want to, I think, see the program to make sure it would be a good fit
Okay.
for our daughter. So
What
I
do
would
you
also be
think for
interested in-
timing though? Would you want to go like before? Can like look at this. So think about, it's in February where you'd be doing the registration.
I mean, for me, I'd prefer sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Just so I know if it's even worth registering.
Got it.
Which it is, but I just was wondering. And then my other question was, is it first come, first serve, or how do you pick who the kids are?
That's a great question. Once we open up the registration period, it doesn't matter when you register. If you register on the 1st or the 29th, you just have to be completely registered. We have all the information on the website. I can send that out as well, so at least you can get an idea. It's an online form. You have to prove residency. You have to show like bills in your name. And then you just have to bring us the original birth certificate so we can see the raised seal. Needs to be the legal parent or guardian. Registering the child. We need to check your ID. Once we have all that, it doesn't matter if you're the first person or the last person. Once you have a completed registration, we draw the lottery. I actually did it live from the TV studio at the high school this year. So you can just see we put all the names in the hat and then we just pull them out and then they're listed. In this case, it was 1 through 20. And then the first 16 were offered spots. And then, people had different commitments and made different decisions until we had the 20th lottery pick, which filled the 16th seat.
I will make a suggestion regarding registration. My suggestion is that you actually register your kid whether or not you're going to send the kid to the UPK, because when you go to the kindergarten, you have to register anyway. So you are just doing it ahead of the time, even if you don't attend our UPK program.
Other questions? John, you're monitoring the Q&A for me. Thank you.
One quick question again, sorry, about pre and after care, and I'm not sure if
That's
you're
okay.
able to answer it at this time.
Yes.
Are the teachers and the paras going to be the people that are providing the before and after care, or is it completely different staff for that?
I'm pretty sure they're the same people, or at least some of the same people. I can't guarantee that our teacher, like that, whoever your teacher has, let's just say we have like two classes. Maybe half of them go to before or after. Maybe only one of those teachers does that. I would have to get more information, to be honest, to answer that for sure from the YMCA. I don't know which percentage of their classroom teachers are also doing the before and after care.
I have another question. Is there an estimated timeline you will know if it will be at option A or option B?
I don't have an estimated timeline. We check in with them regularly. John's really amazing about making sure that we're, checking in, that we figure things out. We just asked them again this week, you guys have any update? Unfortunately, guys, I think this is like a reality where you're dealing with a big bureaucratic organization with the Archdiocese. And, the YMCA has been successful running this program in different locations, whether it's in schools or in other, in district schools, out of district schools, or at other facilities. So I'm confident that they will be able to do it. I just don't know what their timing is going to be in successfully completing. I think we're talking about these two steps.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Is there a point person that we should be reaching out to? Like if after this meeting, I think of a question, who would be the best person to direct our questions to?
You can always send them to me, desati@pleasantvilleschools.org. You can also send them to Angelique. She works in our office. Whatever she needs help with, she'll get either from John or myself. And we'll get you answers as best as we can. I don't want to be like, I don't care. Just send them so that we have them and we can try to get them answered. Angelique is probably the best person. She was on the email and helped us manage the list and stuff. And she also helped us last time with registration, and she's going to be supporting the registration process with us. So she's going to be a great point person for us.
Okay, we have a couple other questions.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you for this event. Is there a screener before students begin? What other assessments will students be engaging in throughout the year?
So they are assessed. There's no screener. They do some introductory work. It's not like they do a screener before the program. They do some introductory work with the children once they get in. They'll determine readiness levels according to, or with language, literacy, numeracy, speaking and listening, and all kinds of things, just looking at like school readiness skills for the children. And then they do assess, I think it's triannually, they'll get data around, I'm going to go back to that slide, guys, around the skills that they're working on in the program.
Another question, do you have an estimate of how many students are currently live in the district that are eligible?
So typically our classes range anywhere from like 100 to 120 students. So I have no reason to believe that this cohort is going to be much bigger or much smaller. But if you look at the data for Pleasantville, generally our class cohorts are anywhere again between 100 to 120 students.
I know you mentioned New York State funding information is connected to the governor's budget.
Yes,
Any information on federal funding timing?
that's the same thing, right, John? It comes in at the same time.
Right.
So we'll
So-
know all of this on that date of January 20.
Third.
Thank you.
So on January 23rd, when the governors send out the budget for each school district, there's a UPK line and there's just one number, and that number represents the total of the state funding and the federal funding.
And at that point, when you get the amount of seats, are you guys going to send out an email to inform us, or how will we know?
Yeah, so I will keep you guys updated. I have generally my typical methods for communication for the district are K-12 alerts is like anything emergency related. It's quick. I don't even like use complete sentences. I have like a character limit. I just try to get out information quickly through that. I also send out typically weekly a Pville Press. I'll keep the website updated on the website for here. And then, you know, generally that's what I want to really kind of like transition everybody from, like sending the emails to the email list to getting information in a public place. I put it out on my Pville Press. I might just send a link, of something's been updated or whatever. And then you can kind of go there and see what we have.
We just received another question, and I think this question was asked before. Since funding information will come out on January 23rd, when can we know how many seats will be offered for 24-25 school year?
When we have this funding allocation, you divide it by 5,400, and that gives you the seats. That gives you how many seats we have the total allocation. So go ahead.
Okay, another question. After the lottery is drawn, how long do we have to accept the place?
We will give you a hard deadline because then we'll have to keep going. You know, guys, we only did this once so far this year. It was on a much smaller scale. So we had to like work backwards from where we were. You know, most of the times current daycares, they need like at least a month. So we will give you a hard deadline in writing for when we need to know if you're accepting the lottery seat or not.
We have another question.
Mhm.
Will the program cover the summer and go up to September 2025?
No, it covers 180 school days. It aligns directly with the school calendar. I'll tell you what, on chances are January 30th, right, John, is our we have a board meeting Tuesday night. Our next board meeting is 2 weeks from that. I think it's January 30th.
It is January 30th.
I should have on there the board to approve the 24-25 school calendar. So we schedule a certain amount of days for school age students. That's a combination of school, like student in-person days with student superintendent's conference days. Excuse me. And that calendar would be approved, and then you would know, and you would follow the same 180 days that the kids that are school age go. So it does not cover summer. It's September to June.
And will the kids be the UPK be following Pleasantville's full calendar, like winter break, Feb break, as most daycares now are still open during any of those breaks or holidays?
So yes, but and whichever one you want to look at it. The YMCA, those would be opportunities where if they're open, that you would continue your before care or after care. So just because like we're off for a week doesn't mean that they're closed all of those days. So if they're open and you wanted to send your kid and they have a spot for you and that's what you do for before and after care, then that's an option for those days.
Okay, one more quick question. Do you know if the kids will be receiving any type of specials like PE? Will there be music or art or science or any outside people being brought in for any of those types of activities or enrichment activities?
No, I do not think so. I think for the most part, all of that stuff, the music, the singing, the art, the activities outside that they do, the exercising in the classroom, etc., is all provided in-house by YMCA.
We have another question. What is the website?
For Pleasantville or for YMCA?
For Pleasantville?
PleasantvilleSchools.org.
Here we have another question. Is there any?
Hold on. I'm going to show you guys something. Let me get up a website. I want to show you guys where like everything will be on the, just give me a second to organize. Get out of here. Okay. Let me show you something really quickly. If you go to, just go to any website, open up your browser. Just go to PleasantvilleSchools.org. Okay. If you look here, parents, I'm on the district site right now. If you go to parents and community, I have a pre-K tab. On this pre-K tab is like everything that I've sent out so far as it relates to pre-K. So this is the letter that I just sent out. This was part of the email that I sent you guys on January 3rd. This is the info meeting. Once I get this recording, I'll put the slide deck. I'll put the recording on here. K-12, the Peeville Press that I asked you guys to sign up for. This is all now the 23-24. So this was like the lottery. This was the drawing. You could go there and you can see how what the drawing looks like, all the communications that I put out for families for pre-K. So I try to make it like super easy. So again, it's just Pleasantville Schools, parents, community, pre-K tab, and then you have all of this information.
We have another question here. Is there any priority for low-income families in the district for seats?
No. The way that the lottery is done is complete lottery. It doesn't matter if you are free reduced lunch eligible, ENL eligible, a student with a disability. There's absolutely no factors that play in to the lottery, except that you have completed the registration process. If you have completed the registration process, we put your name in the box and we do a drawing.
Here's another question. If option 8 is chosen,
Yeah.
will we share that space with Mount Pleasant as they are slated to go there too? Does that affect anything?
No, I don't know what it would affect. No, right now the current program at Holy Name has two or three other school districts that have a class or multiple classes in the same site. So if Holy Rosary gets approved, and that's where we end up having the program in September, and Mount Pleasant is there, it will bear nothing on our program.
I had a
have
quick
question regarding the lottery.
Mhm.
Let's say somebody has twins, as I do. Is it
Okay.
possible that one would be chosen and the other would not?
It is. Yes, it is. We had twins in this current lottery too, and it is possible. Each child gets their own lottery drawing. So you got a 2-for-1 special, but they don't have that in the lottery drawing.
Here's another question.
Yeah.
Have you received feedback from families that have children in the program right now?
Yes. It's very early in the program. We literally started it last week.
I had a quick question about the estimations that you talked about before. I know that I think you said there was about 120 kids eligible within the district, but only 20 kids signed up this year. Do you anticipate greater numbers or around that for next year?
So, no, please keep asking them. The question is, let me clarify first. I said our cohorts in Pleasantville. A cohort is like the current first grade, the current second grade, the current 10th grade, etc. That class of kids, they generally range between 100 to 120 kids. That's just typically where we fall. So like we're planning for kindergarten too, right? We're planning for this and we're planning for kindergarten. I don't know how many kids I have in kindergarten for the 24-25 school year. We gauge around 100 to 120 kids per each cohort in class. If that follows suit and that's how many kids we have, I can't say if all of them are going to want to go to a program. There's currently, right now with the current program, we had a lot of challenges with the timing. First of all, moving a 4-year-old and moving their programs after they've been in a program that's been established for half a year to make a change is not as attractive to families. So I think that, making a mid-year switch was definitely the biggest delimiter when I talked to families about the pre-K for this school year, was that they didn't want to make the move with the kid. The other thing that happened was with the limited amount of space, I also heard from families that they were like, well, my kid has a program, like I'm fairly happy with the program, so I don't want to put my kid in the lottery and have them take a space from like a kid who may not have a program. So, we heard a lot of different things. I think it was less than ideal to start a pre-K program mid-year, but, we have 16 kids enrolled, and they've been at it for exactly 1 week today.
So we have another question regarding the lottery.
Okay.
It sounds like people might end up on the wait list. If so, when would that close? How would that work? Will there be a final deadline?
Yes, there will be a final deadline. So once we draw the lottery and once we finish registration and we know what our numbers are, once we know what site we're going to, we draw a lottery for everybody that's registered. So, if we have an allocation for 75 seats, let's say, and we have 100 people that are registered, we're going to draw everybody who registers gets a number.
That's all the questions so far.
Sorry, can I just jump back in on that lottery
Sorry.
question? Sorry to belabor this. Oh,
I think we're on Carrie and Ben. Was that you?
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think my question is then really, so let's say we end up in place number 50 on the lottery. There's 32 people pretty much guaranteed to get in, or 32 kids rather. There may be a process of parents saying, actually, no, I don't want to do pre-K. I'm just wondering how quickly that is churned through, because I'm just thinking, you know, if we don't end up with pre-K, we might need to make other arrangements. I'm just trying to get a sense of, once we know all these unknowns, how quickly this process will bear out. I know it's probably impossible to entirely say.
We, you guys, we move it along pretty quickly. We basically give people, like, you know, if we know, we'll say you're in the lottery to get a seat. Can you let us know by Friday at 3:00? And then, you know, there's other steps too. Then people have to register with the YMCA. They want to make sure that they can have their before and after school care. So we're kind of like moving along the process the whole time of, you know, basically we give people like a week. John, right? That's what we gave people this time around. I'm just,
Right.
again, speaking from our limited experience of doing it this year. We generally told people, like, you guys are this number. These numbers are, you know, can have seats. Say we have the 32. Say it's worst case scenario, we only have the 32. I would tell the 32, you know, guys, let me know by Friday. Let me know by Friday. Then we know how many people have, if all 32 want those seats, we put them to YMCA. They have to go through the YMCA process. They'll give them a week to register into their program. So we definitely try to like move things along. I know that, you know, that you need to have a place for your kid to go for some people that are working, and you want to make sure that it's an appropriate place and that you feel comfortable. So we try to move things along. So if you feel the heat, just know that this is like why, because we need to know. So we'll generally give you like a week to kind of figure some stuff out.
Hi, I have another question.
No, I see this.
I know other districts, I think Yorktown got 72 slots for the 23-24 year. I'm just curious why Pleasantville didn't get as many. Is it just the allocations per district are different from district to district?
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure that your question is. We have an allocation for 76 seats for this year.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
400, we have 400, we had an allocation this year of $410,400.
got it. But we only used. So I'm sorry, because beforehand there was only.
It's not we only use, but rather only 20 some people registered.
I see. Sorry, I thought before we had talked about there was only going to be 2 classes of 16 at most. Is that not correct?
2 classes at 16 if we have option B as our only option, but that's not because of funding. That's because of space
I understand. Okay.
and,
Thank you.
and provider and contractor. Yeah. So the allocation is the allocation, but then we have to try to find the way to make it work in there. So again, so through our contract with YMCA, through the space that they're going to be able to allocate, will be how many of those seats we can actually utilize.
So is there a possibility where you, like, if you had the same allocation this year with 76 seats, but we had to divide that by 16, so you could actually end up having kids on a wait list because we don't have the right like division of students, even though we've got the funding for it? Or will you make room for those students with the funding?
What will be nice was that we'll have more time to be creative and finding other options, unlike this year when we started like at the midpoint. So we have some other creative options for things that we can think about. The more options we have, the better off that we will be. But that's going to depend on all of these numbers and the space and who else is in the space. YMCA, the nice part about working with them is they have full pay classes. So like in addition to running for school districts with school district funding, they also just run pre-K. So depending upon what else they have and like where they have it will depend on where we can offer options for our students if we don't break off in a multiple of 16.
I have two questions regarding enrollment. One is if we're short 16 kids, maybe there's only 8 kids from Pleasantville that are really not able to get in because the numbers don't work out. Is there a possibility we could merge with other districts that are using that facility and create a
Yes.
class of 16?
It's a possibility.
And my second question is, have we looked at other locations? I'm sure you have, to rent, so that, so spacing is not an issue. I'm sure the former Catholic schools are the best option. They were former elementary schools.
Yeah.
Just wondering, I'm sure you've done your due diligence, but I thought I'd ask.
It's a good question. And actually the due diligence is on the YMCA. They have to go through the OCFS process and get it. They looked at different spaces actually in Pleasantville. And were not successful in getting a place actually in Pleasantville. So, that could also be a delimiter for folks in terms of getting to either Valhalla or Norfolk.
Would that include renting space from Pace University?
I don't know if they looked at Pace, to be honest with you. And I don't know again, if you could just go back to thinking about this from a cost perspective, they are part of that 5,400, and then whatever else they're making doing whatever else is they have to pay for all of their expenses. So if the rent plays a factor into that, that's certainly going to be, something for them to think about in their business model.
And my last question is, if the numbers don't work out, is it possible to recruit people who never registered? Maybe you need 4 students to make a class of 16. Is that a possibility in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I mean, we have what we have. We can, shake the trees down in Pleasantville. We had people on Facebook, this, whatever it was, December or November, looking for folks. The benefit of Pleasantville in this case is really like everybody's such a close, tight-knit community. It's a matter of like getting the word out, which, is helpful for us. So yes.
Thanks for all your hard work too.
Oh, you guys, it's been crazy, just lifting off something like this. We've learned a lot. Every time you do something for the first time, you learn a lot. We are definitely excited to bring this opportunity to Pleasantville and to try to make it work. I hope that you can see that like our goal tonight is it's certainly not a perfect process. It's certainly not easy to understand, and there's a lot of unknowns right now, but we're on the journey together. We have the same goal, which is to try to meet the needs of everybody who wants pre-K for 24-25 to have the option to be in pre-K for 24-25 with the earliest possible notification of getting in, so that you kind of have some peace about moving into the 24-25 school year. So that is definitely the goal. We'll just try to be in really good communication with you guys. I apologize for my voice tonight. I'm actually impressed that it is an hour going strong and I don't sound like a barking frog yet. So thanks for sticking with me. Feel free, again, email Angelique any additional questions that you have, any other thoughts you have, any creative ideas you have. Definitely let us know. We're happy to hear from you guys, and we look forward to the continued relationship as we get our pre-K kids for 24-25. More questions I think are coming in. Johnny, you monitoring that for me?
Yes, we have another question. No, wait. So the question is, if the school started, the class is set, and 1 or 2 students drop out, does the class get canceled?
No, we're not going to cancel a class once it gets started.
What about once people have committed? So let's say they're told they have a spot from the lottery in March, and then in July, someone drops out. So they're now 15 in the class, and everyone in that class has already given up their other preschool spots.
I don't think that that's the way that this is going to work. Once we, have commitments and we move forward, I'll just tell you, even in this situation, we literally had somebody who went to open house and made a decision that this wasn't what they wanted to do. And they rescinded, and we went to the next lottery pick, and the person got in. I would honestly have to talk to I don't want to give you guys a false answer. And then that's really not the case, but I can't imagine that a company that's been in business for this long and been this successful would do that based on one kid.
We have another question, actually, is from the parent who applied for this year. The question is that is the class possible to have a size of 16 to 21 seats? And because this kid is on the waiting list as number 5.
No, the classes right now, the class that they have is, so OCFS comes in and they measure the space and they tell you how many heads can be in that space. That space is already decided for what it can be. So that class is capped at 16.
That's all the questions we have.
All right, you guys. Well, listen, I hope this worked out. I was hoping like an 8:30 start would give you guys time to put the kids to bed and then be able to be with us. I know a lot of cameras are off, so I hope this was helpful for everybody. Again, be in touch. Email Angelique if you guys have any further questions. And everybody have a great night. Take care. Thank you so much.